So I don't think that we're going to wind up going the full period on lecture. So what happens is I'm going to take questions and stuff like that regarding the table of contents afterwards, because I know a few of you have them. The other thing is that I realize that some of you are having some delays in getting the Adobe platform up and running on your machines. Okay. I will gently and kindly say that, a couple people were saying it's like I went and looked today, asked today, and as well, that should have been last week, but who cares? It is what it is. I'm going to give you about a week to get this up and running. If IT is running that far behind, please let me know. Because the matter is that as I extend some of the deadlines in the beginning, remember, they're going to start overlapping on the other ones that don't move. So don't snowball. Okay. So any questions except for technical ones on the table of contents at this point?
If the table of contents that I selected is 2 pages long, can I just pick?
You can take 1 page. Not a problem. Okay. Yep. Basically what this is a reconstruction and familiarization and proficiency thing. Let's see here. And did I tell you about Adobe Capture?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay. Because you know what? That is like the world's most awesomest tool. Oh my God. I mean, because you can like get patterns, you can make quick clip art, I mean, it's like rad. Actually, the Adobe phone apps are really amazing, actually, because yeah, well, sometimes it doesn't do so good. So take another picture and see if you take another shot of it and see if you get close, Yeah, get close, or the other thing is if it's a comic book font, said, basically there are several, type styles that, mimic things like that. So I am kind of relying on you to kind of make some aesthetic judgments, in other words, it's like, this has the spirit of that, as opposed to being this exact thing. So anyway, so we go. All right. Anybody else? All right. Let's lock and load. All right. Graphic communication, art in action. I'm going to show you folks some stuff that you've never seen. So the thing is that what we're talking about as far as like graphic communications, we're talking about something that has a message, has an intent, and it's generally communicated through the public, right? So, and then it's distributed somehow. Maybe not in mass production, but maybe it's in a place that has mass visibility. What would be an example of something that isn't mass produced, but might have mass visibility? I'm thinking of one thing especially. Like maybe a piece of, a piece of visual communication that's out. I'll just give you a hint. It's like out in public and a lot of people can see it. Yeah, totally. John, you know what? Jumbotron at the game. Something a little bit more widespread, but is the the Warrior Network monitors, right? And by the way, you're gonna do some possible things, for that. Anyway, but the idea is that earliest example of this sort of thing, the caves of Lascaux, the cave paintings. People going down into caves, getting a little bit of holding torches up, getting a little bit weird, and painting elk down in the cave with the shaman. It's like, okay, well, awesome if you're into that sort of thing. I haven't done that too much. Petroglyphs. Earliest signs of public communication. If you think about it, I'm going to show you something from North Carolina that I hope is going to like knock you in the head a little bit. But the thing is that if we go then into pictographs, designs painted and drawn into rocks, and or carved into rocks, and what would be an early example of something like that? Well, pictograph, but I mean, the thing is that pictorial things that communicate carved into rock that, that's shown to the public. Win the prize for today. Yep, totally. I mean, what better, what better way for a ruler to say, I'm the king, or to say, by the way, we kicked Hadrian's ass here, to put up a public inscription. And then actually the thing is that a much later version of this, you go to Fountain City, you got the plaque, right? That tells you about Fountain City. Direct descendant. Actually went down to Galena, Illinois last weekend. It was last weekend. Saw Grant's home, Ulysses S. Grant. Used to be a general. I don't know. What's that? Yeah, he was president. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? That was actually a game show question. Somebody got it wrong. It's like, but the weird thing is where is he buried? That's a weird thing. Buried in New York City. So, but ideographs. I'm thinking of two examples. Graphic symbol representing an idea. Let's see if this works. Does it work? Okay, it seems to have something there. All right. That is the symbol for the word to or katana. Sword in Japanese. And you know what? I think what goes on is I think I can't quite remember it. I mean, I remember that it has, but I need to remember the pictogram for sashimi and neko, which are you know sashimi. Anybody know neko? Cat. So I need to have a cat instead of. So there we go. Not that pictogram. So I draw cats in class all the time. The other one, if you think about it, pictogram, giving an idea.
No.
Boom. That's our modern hieroglyphs, logos. So the hieroglyphs of capitalism.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure it might be, but I just want to double check. So, like in some movies, like especially like or in horror films, like
Yeah.
like some people like they involve like religious symbols.
Uh-huh.
Like so those would count for like the same thing, like to represent an idea.
Yeah. Or in other words, they're we'll get into metaphors and metonyms a little bit. It's like the idea that a metonym is like stands in for something else. If you want to get into like in graduate school, I studied alchemical alchemical charts and that sort of thing, symbols and all sort of this, like I'm not into that sort of thing, but it's like super interesting to look at, like how that all works, and sigils and all that sort of thing. And it's like, that's super interesting. But the thing is, you go down that rabbit hole, it gets a little weird, so, but yeah, totally. Exactly. Something that stands for, something that stands for something else, and actually the thing is like each character in our alphabet, stands for a sound, except for the thing is that what is it? Nothing in English sounds like it looks like, it's like English, English is easy to pick up, but really hard to master. It's like all my Slavic friends, they can't get, they can't get articles, the and that, because they don't exist in the Slavic languages, and I just said, here's this big chart about how to properly use articles, and this is like, okay, that's a help. It's like, but that's like the hardest thing for them. So no, and also in the a lot of the yeah, and what's interesting, in Japanese, plural doesn't exist. So you say 10 pencil. So, or it's like, like 2 pencils, ni and pizza. So it's like, there's no plural. And the thing is like, there's no gender in English, it's like, yeah, exactly. So, but why do we do this? I'm spending way too much time on this. It's basically to deal with occurrences, ideas, historical information. You give a warning. So, when Tom taught this, he used to work with the Navajo a lot, which was awesome. So the thing is that this is like going out to the Cherokee area in Western North Carolina. And this is something Judicula rock. And Judicula was kind of like part of a Cherokee like part of the Cherokee mythology, this giant, and I forget the exact sort of thing. But the cool thing is that this rock out near Cherokee and the town of Cherokee and Asheville, it's about 20 miles west of Asheville. This was used for 1,500 years. This is crazy. So basically what goes on here, this was like a public recording sign. So check this out. So if we look at this, is that here we have, if we just look at a few things here, you can see this was going around for a long time. And actually the interesting thing is that this is actually a map of the local region. So you can see the Tuckasegee River here. You can see the Little Tennessee, the Nantahala, and the Akonalufti. And for anybody who's First Nation, I'm sorry if I screw this up, but we can see that there's a bunch of different peoples over time used this. This was their bulletin board, right? This was their email. So you can see here that, the Creek were here for a while. Cherokee were there, they're there currently. This is super interesting. The Hontal Maya were up in North Carolina for a while. That's super interesting. The Mayans were up in North Carolina putting stuff down. So that's crazy. So you can see, through, we'll talk about semiotics, this idea of the signs and how they're related to the area and people and that sort of thing, what time, where people were, all that sort of thing. Great. And I'll just say this one whole thing here. I'm just going to say this particular thing in art and communication, that particular symbol, just that of the human being, just that stick figure of a person, man, woman, whoever. First person who put that up, I don't know, maybe 50, 60, 70,000 years ago. You know what? Have we made any real progress since that? I don't think so. I think this is the thing that has basically been kind of the foundation of saying, like, you know what, this is just a stick figure of a person. This is kind of our identity as who we are. I mean, if you expand it out into like the great works of art, if, communication, all that sort of thing, if you take it down to like bare minimums and that sort of thing, a lot of times, boom, we're back to stick figure theater. That's it. Actually, one of my favorite cartoons is what is it? Stick figure kung fu theater. Have you ever seen that on YouTube? It's awesome. It's like big kung fu movies, just done with stick figures, and it's like really good. Anyway, maybe if we have some time, we'll look at that. Here we go. Wadi Saham. in Fujairah in the UAE. It's out on the West Coast. I'll show you where it is. So I hope you get an idea for where this is. So that's, so this is sorry, we say it's the Persian Gulf, but they say it's the Arabian Gulf. So much respect. Anyway. So what happens is that, hey, guess what? That's where I used to live. I used to live there. And I used to live there, and I used to live up here. Went over here, but there's actually a place called Snoopy Island that's about 100 yards offshore. Get yourself a water noodle and a snorkel, and you go across and you see the sea turtles going underneath you and all the coral and all this. It's awesome. But you're out there, the thing is, you think about desert and that sort of thing, but the eastern part of the Arabian Peninsula here, it's green and it's mountainous, and it gets moisture in from, the Gulf of Oman and that sort of thing. By the way, down here is Oman. Oman is really awesome. You should go. Totally safe. Don't worry about any of this stuff. But Qatar doesn't talk to everybody because they talk to them. So, and anyway, that's their stuff. We sometimes worry about it, but that's not this class. That's global politics class. I'm not teaching that class. So these are more things from Wadi Sahat. Guess what? This is super. I don't know whether you find this is super interesting, but I find it super interesting. You've got you got the Mayans and the Cherokees over there, and then you basically got the early Arabic civilizations, that sort of thing, and Wadi Sahat and the sort of. Guess what? Same thing. Stick figure. Oh no, this is not. No, it's no. Sorry, this is even weirder. Is that no? This is Bayan Shareh in Kazakhstan, where I saw these things. I like petroglyphs. I'm really fascinated with it because as somebody who's, an educator, designer, artist, media producer, things like that, I wonder about existence, it's like, how do we communicate? How do we, and, this is this thing that I'm probably next year, I'm going to be doing most of my artwork and writing about is like this notion of the it's like, at the end of the day, even in web design, we're still kind of stuck with the web, stuck with the stick figure. But this is in Kazakhstan. Now, this is sort of interesting. We have variations on a theme, but you start getting into stuff. This is a little bit later stuff in Kazakhstan. And here we go. This is kind of the sun man. And with the bull and that sort of thing, and things come from things. Other symbols develop from other symbols. If you look at the development of things, you can see how actually, we they call our numbers Arabic numbers, because actually the thing is that our numbers are derived from the Perso-Arabic script, and what is it? Except for except for 5. It's like, that's 5. What the heck is that? But let's see here. That's 3. Oh, sorry. It's like, it's stuff comes from stuff. So basically, the indigenous Mongol religion was, the sky god Tengri. And you can see that the kind of like the sky man in this, becomes, basically the a symbol for the old Mongolian sky god. So super, super interesting. This is more stuff from Kazakhstan. No, I think that's from Kyrgyzstan. But anyway, you get what I mean, is that the point to all of this, and there is a point, and it's like, how in the hell is this going to get me a job? Why? What the hell is the professor going on about stick figures and petroglyphs from 5,000 years ago? It's like, why should I care? Because the thing is, it's the foundation of communication. It's basically saying that what we're doing, even though we're doing electronic, it's just something that started tens of thousands of years ago. We're just using a different medium. That's all. That's it. We're just trying to communicate ideas and historical information, warnings, sales pitches. I mean, of course, my favorite and least favorite symbol. Right? We know that. Actually, the one thing that I think is a really interesting project is that there is actually a project to determine what signage you can use for nuclear waste sites, because that sort of stuff is going to be down in there and active for like 100, 200, 3,000 years. And if we assume that we're going to exist that long, that's an existential conversation that I'm not prepared to have at the moment. Look at history. We have the Bronze Age, we have the Egyptians, we have, the Roman Empire, the Middle Ages. Then we have, of course, the Salafites, and then we have the various Chinese empires and that sort of thing. Civilizations rise and fall. And it's like right now, we still can't make heads or tails of the Sumerian script. So we don't know what the hell they were doing. But they're kind of the foundation of most of our civilization. So the thing is that let's just assume that this civilization of ours eventually, let's just say even over 20,000 years, is going to radically change or collapse. Let's just hope it's not too soon. I'm just going to assume that. We're fine. But the thing is that this civilization is throwing some mighty sketchy stuff down deep into the ground. And what happens is if some folks, let's just say our descendants from 100,000 years from now. I mean, think of H.G. Wells, Time Machine. Great movie, by the way. You come along and they see this thing, and we don't want them to go there. You don't do this, people. Don't. And the thing is what sort of symbol do you create to signify danger to somebody 100,000 years from now that you have absolutely no idea what they might be, to fundamentally say, you go down here, you're going to die. Don't go there. We are wishing the best for you, but we put stuff down there that isn't good for you. That's a super interesting concept. Yeah.
Toxic barrel, sign on it, and an arrow leads to a skull to the next. And then carve it in rock.
Yeah. Or you know what? Or the thing is just the sign for the barrel and put the skull on the barrel. You know, that goes and takes both signs and consolidates them. Probably true. Probably very, very straightforward. So what do we wind up in these things? What are we doing at this point? We're doing books, newspapers, magazines, pamphlets, flyers, brochures, posters, billboards, advertising, net campaigns, videos, cat videos. I got to work in cat videos somewhere, right? Sorry, I just have to. Sorry. TikTok. Just the crazy side of me just feels like doing some weird TikTok project, but that's all right. My favorite one is was it the Queen is coming. Take the cat. The Queen is coming. And then, by the way, just as a quick aside, did you see the whole thing that people are protesting the lack of security on Twitch? It's like people, you can like, yeah, you can bot bomb Twitch so easy, it's crazy, and people are protesting that. So, so the thing is, we're talking about visual communication, mass communication. I love the fact that I'm interested in all of it. So, let me see what time it is. I'm probably going on way too long. Okay, we're good for the moment. So, quote for the day: too many graphic designers, graphic artists, designers, art directors have a tendency to be, into like the new latest thing. You know what? But the thing is that they forget what, that we stand on the shoulders of giants. I'm going to be perfectly honest in that as I go forth and promote CDM, to the technical colleges and the high schools and that sort of thing, I am going to have Oculus Quest. I am going to have, our first person drone. I'm going to have robot illustrations. I'm going to have all this stuff because, it's like, it captures the imagination of what the future is, but it's all built on the solid foundations. Communication is communication. So if you're effective as a designer, director, filmmaker, webmaster, graphic editor, you need to know the knowledge of the development of visual design, have a grounding in design, understand the creative process. Now this is the thing. Not just coming to class and just understanding the, what we've done and, it's okay, fine, I'm done with this. No, you got to stay engaged. You got to stay engaged in your field and what the notion of visual communication within your field is doing now, because everything moves, totally. And got to have some chops. The thing is that, we're going over the basics on some of the Adobe platform here, and actually we'll do Wix. But the thing is that you need to do a lot more than that. Basically, if you've got a Adobe license, need to go out and you need to go out and teach yourself. I mean, that's what I had to do. Go beyond what we did, and you just go out there and say, okay, make some shit. Oh, good. That didn't get transcribed. Okay. Chapter 2. Overview of the several major art periods. I'm not going to go too heavy into that. Maybe we can look at that a little bit, maybe call up Kindle. But elements of graphic design. We've got some time. Maybe we'll call up Kindle and look at the book a little bit. Wait a second. No, it's that communication book. It's not the BizCom. We'll work this out. Maybe I'll talk a bit about it on Tuesday. Point, line, plane, type. This is something from Kandinsky's book, Point, Line to Plane. This is really the foundation of everything. I mean, honestly, this could sound nerdy as all get out, but I am kind of nerdy, but that's all right. That's like, oh my God, what a shock, a nerdy professor. Right. Anyway, I was getting started in art and design, and there are these two books called Concerning the Spiritual and Art. And the thing is that which is an interesting book for its time, and it has a lot of context to it. But the other one that I think is much Vasily Kandinsky, one of the founders of the Bauhaus. Bauhaus being one of the greatest design schools in the early 20th century, first in Munich and then in Weimar, and then basically they basically jetted out because of the Nazis, because actually, to tell you the truth, unless you made art or design of a certain type, they thought you were something called a degenerate, and you either needed to get out, you're probably going to wind up in a concentration camp. Not good. So a lot of these guys went to New York and Chicago. Actually, was it Mies van der Rohe? And I don't know. I think Gropius went out there. He was the founder. They went out and they started the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. And the interesting thing to me is that I had a friend who was says, "Oh, I have a PhD at the Bauhaus." I said, "Well, the Bauhaus sort of still exists, but to me, if you were going to say, if you really had the heritage of the Bauhaus," I said, "Well, I have a PhD from the Illinois Institute of Technology," but that's all right. So, our first creative poster. What I'm gonna do is I'm just going to talk about the project. And then we're going to answer some questions. Might be a little bit light today. But I want you to go look at poster design. And then we're going to talk specifically about the project on Tuesday. I'm going to initiate it. I want to make sure that y'all get the the TOC done and get that in and get that cleared. We're done, except for those of you who are having problems getting the Adobe platform onto your machine. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Something to think. This is kind of what I call a methodology for thinking about about visual communication. Mass communication. 4 questions you want to ask. Good, and I did share it. Okay, good. Who are you talking to? This is going to be a poster for a class. Used to be Tom's, now it's mine. Specifically mass comm majors. What are you trying to do? You're trying to communicate information about the class. I'll give you some examples about, I hopefully get some examples of the poster. What's the call to action? What do you want people to do? So the thing is whenever you're communicating anything, you're communicating and you're expecting a response, right? You want people to do something. You know, you either want them to feel something, you want them to do something, you know, or you want to get information into their brainicle. So sign up, hit the registration system, more info, email me, distribution, posters on bulletin boards, or go into the electronic signage system. So I'm going to get specific about that on Tuesday. By the way, I'll put this up. You know, you can just copy and paste this info. This is your text. So MCOM 316, experimental visual communication. That's where we do the first person drone stuff and all the, it's a fun class. No prereq, 300 level, elective and all, MASCOM. That's me. And by the time this will be, I will be a certified, I will have an actual FAA drone license, drone pilot license. I'm still studying. The cool thing about this is that there's a little loophole if you're an educator and that sort of thing, you're doing stuff professionally, you know, they kind of cut you some slack, you know, first like get your license and do it soon and that sort of thing. But, you know, but if you're going to be a professional at drone operation, you got to have an FAA license. It's $150. It's a little studying, but it's super interesting. So basically, here's what the poster project is. Okay, you know what? This is the old one. We're gonna have a draft thing. So anyway, what happens is this is for a class, but this is for a class, not for an event. We're gonna do peer review. There's gonna be a project statement and make sure that it's all legible. So anyway, sorry, I didn't update that. I'll go through this. Once again, set up the design preferences, 1-page tabloid, set the margins at 1/3 of an inch, save as MCOM, blah, 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 and then do it as a PDF and a JPEG. So, and you'll have this project statement. So anyway, but when you talk about this, clearly state your target audience and objective and use your concept. So here's an earlier thing. And when I taught this last time, I basically had everybody choose a thing they wanted to do, but we're all going to do the same thing. So and I'm going to show you another approach to this as well. Here's some old stuff. But another thing I'm going to talk about real briefly. Hierarchy, visual hierarchy. Super interesting. I mean, it's super interesting, super important, super bloody important. Whenever you're communicating, think about the notion of hierarchy. Think about going from the most important thing to the least important thing. The most important thing at this point is the name of the name of the class and images that might represent the class. In this case, this was an event with this guy, talking. Here we have the guy, his name. Academics usually. Institutions usually like to see the fact that, Winona State Department of so-and-so, that sort of thing, as opposed to the subject, but that's all right. But noted scholar and author of the Priest in the Punch Cards. Okay, and that was 5 years ago. But do you see how that works? You know, you're going from like the most important to the least important thing. And then the interesting thing is that, man, I'm blurring between two classes. In BizCom, I start talking about the rule of thirds. You got that. So basically, you know, with this idea of the rule of thirds, whatever. In an image, the percentage amount of time that you dedicate to looking at something is, I forget exactly what it is, but something like 40%. That's like 25%. And this is not going to add up to 100, so sorry. And then it's like maybe, I'm just going to say it's just, and in web design, the interesting thing, and then these are also hotspots. This was invented by a guy in 1740 in the 1700s. He worked for the British Museum and he just studied a whole bunch of portraits and landscapes and just figured out that all the things that we look at are in this specific sort of configuration. The other thing that's sort of interesting is that when you're doing, sorry, you guys are over there in that corner. I'm not serving you very well and I apologize. In interactive design, which I taught for a crap load of years, if I went to go track your eyes, I cannot wait for my own pens. Yeah, do you? Okay. Can you? Okay, process. Okay, thank you. These are old. So what happens is that, let's just say, Catco. Content, news. So the thing is what happens with this is that we see in an F pattern. I think it's called Fitz's law means you should be able to get anywhere to anywhere else in a web page in three clicks. Actually, if you look interested in something that's really interesting, at Amazon, you can buy anything in 3 clicks or maybe 4. That's really well designed. But what we wind up doing is that we wind up looking at content in this F rule, which, by the way, actually, if I move the F over a little bit, would completely and utterly fit the rule of thirds. So no matter how we wind up with technology, let's see here. I'm going to see if I can do this gently.
You just keep it over there.
Okay, I'll keep it over. Okay. All right, thank you. I was, by the way, for the captioned audience, I was going to throw the pen back across the room, and it was decided by consensus, 2 people consensus, not to do that. But do you see what I mean? Is that basically what's going on here is that visual communication and design is pretty consistent. Some of the, I'll just say some of these things are, these are student pieces. You can kind of see how these things are more and less effective. That's not bad, but I'd like more contrast in his name, and I'd like and the other thing that's making me crazy about this, there's like no alignment, or the thing is like if this is supposed to be, the hierarchy on this is not working here, it's like this is not aligned, and if we wanted to have Matt Richtel's, I'd say probably make that in their type style. It's like make it like boom out here, and the stuff and the thing. That's not too bad, except I wouldn't have that slash through Winona State. This is not so hot. Don't do this. And by the way, friends, don't let friends use Comic Sans. Just say no. Very, very old cultural jokes. But here is a better, this is basically just a better poster design that out here, because guess what? We've got the name of the musical. Boom, it's out there. It's got this slant. It's going nuts. And then the thing is that the info is there. Take the stage, lower left. Just not quite as hierarchical as the info. Doesn't matter so much about where it is, but it tells you where it is. It's like after we've sold you on everything, say, okay, great, I want to go, and then it's like, where is it at? Okay, and then but the thing is, get the tickets online. It's like, okay, I got my tickets now. Where do I go? Oh, by the way, I'm going to go see the comedian at 10 o'clock on was it Friday or Saturday? I think that I used to do stand up for a long time, so. And what was it? Interesting thing is that Absalom Ali, one of the guys I used to perform with out in Abu Dhabi, he's opening up for Dave Chappelle in Dubai. I'm really impressed. So anyway, okay. Here's what's due is. Actually, it should be MCOM. I'm not gonna worry about too much, but the thing is that it should be due Friday, but I realize some of you don't have, I'm gonna be kind of loose on this, but please try to get it done. And your table of contents replication and export JPEG and all that sort of thing. And make sure it's MCOM 172 dash last name dash TOC.
Can it be either JPEG or PNG?
What's that?
Can it be either JPEG?
Both. I want both. I basically want to know that you can make the InDesign thing and then you can export it. And then, yep. Okay. It's not Monday, but it's Tuesday. So it's like, we're going to, tell me about poster design. And then what's going to go is maybe not, probably more like Thursday, September 9th. But the thing is that we're going to get into some stuff. So, okay. So that's the end of that. I'm going to stop the share.